A new challenger appears. This is the very first Famicom game from Capcom. Capcom is one of the Famicom publishers I go out of my way to collect. If you're watching this video, then you already know we're going to get some amazing 8-bit games out of them. But 1942? Well, everyone has to start somewhere. In 1942, players control a P-38 Lightning and shoot down all the Japanese forces over the Pacific. This is a good example of how, even in the Japanese market, the Americans are presented as the heroes of World War II. You shoot your way through 32 stages of swarming aircraft to win the war. Those swarming aircraft are the best thing in 1942. There are a lot of enemies being thrown around the screen at once in this game. You shoot your main gun with B, and the A button sends you into a loop where you're invulnerable for a few seconds. You can only loop 3 times before refueling at an aircraft carrier or getting a power-up to give you a little bit more gas. I found the loop to not be a very useful maneuver though. You're putting yourself out of the fight for a few seconds when you do it, and enemies come in so fast and furious that if you feel the need to use it, then you're just letting them swarm further and making your situation worse. There isn't a lot of differentiation between the small aircraft, but keep an eye out for this formation of red ones. Shooting down all of them makes a POW appear, and the color of the POW determines what power-up you get. Green expands the number of bullets that your plane fires. The red and white one destroys all enemies on the screen. This red one gives you a 1-up. And the white one sends out 2 plane escorts that will fly side by side with you. They add their firepower to yours, but are very prone to getting shot down. The rarest pickup is this pinwheel, which just adds 5,000 bonus points. Now, it might have been my luck while I was recording this footage, but I found that the power-ups came in pairs. I'd get one, and a short time later another red formation would fly out, and I'd get the exact same power-up again. Besides the tiny planes, sometimes big planes will fly in from behind you. It takes multiple bullets to shoot them down. Every 7 stages, a giant bomber named Ayako appears. It acts as the boss for the game. At the end of every stage, you get rated on your hit percentage, and you get bonus points based on that. And that's really all you need to know to play 1942. This isn't a very deep or complex shooter. There isn't even a whole lot of variety in the terrain. The thing is, though, the Famicom port of 1942 was done by Micronics. And so it's glitchy, slow, and kind of annoying to play. A good example, your escort aircraft sometimes vanish or lock into place. But that's just cosmetic. Like how the guns work. Bullets appear about 2 aircraft lengths in front of you. So that means if you're right on top of an enemy, you can't shoot them. But even if they're in the right spot, sometimes your gun just won't fire. It'll make the sound effect, it just won't shoot. The game feels like it's moving in slow motion, like it's half speed. And the consequence of that is that this becomes a very easy shooter. Okay, peek behind the production curtain time. I had a time crunch today, so I blocked myself out 45 minutes over lunch to record gameplay footage. There isn't a lot to 1942, so I thought that was enough time to capture everything I needed. Plug it in, hit start, and at around the 20-minute mark I was wondering if the game would ever end so that I could get a picture of the game over screen. At the 30-minute mark, I was getting worried that I wouldn't get a game over at all before I had to stop playing. That first game lasted 42 minutes, and I'm hardly a 1942 expert. I just wound up with a mountain of extra lives by playing, and 40 minutes of a not very deep shooter is an awful lot of that game. I can't close this out without mentioning the music in 1942. At least I think it's supposed to be music. It's more of a droning set of beeps. The best thing I can say about 1942 is that we got a better game from Capcom out of it a few years later.